Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It is your favorite time of week, which we've already established over the last 250 weeks, is Keepin It Rio time. And I am extremely honored today because we are now on episode 251. And I was just joking, closer to 500 now than we are to the first one, which is crazy. But the second 250 is going to kick off with an amazing guest. And I am ecstatic to welcome to the program this afternoon, evening. It's Thursday when you're watching it, but what time is it really? It's your guess. It's anybody's guess to figure out where we are in real life. But I'd love to welcome my guest, Meredith Otero, to the program. Meredith, how are you doing this evening?
I am great. I am still adjusting from a lot of travel over the last month. I felt like I had narcolepsy yesterday because I came in from a red eye and arrived Sunday. I don't even know. Yesterday morning, it's all blurring together. So it was good. I gave myself a day before I came on here.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I can definitely sympathize with that. I do a lot of travel. I own a roofing business, but because of the roofing industry, I get to do a lot of trade shows and events, and I do sales training for some roofing companies, and they usually, fly me in. So
Sure.
I know what it's like to not know what day or time or week it is. And I was just joking before we hit record. I actually reached out to you last week to apologize for being late for our episode, and I was actually a week off. So made it on time. It was cool. I had an entire week to get ready, but I can certainly appreciate it. So tell me a little bit about yourself, and then we'll kind of dig into what all this travel is for, and we'll wrap everything up. This is going to be a great conversation.
That sounds good. I look forward to it, and thank you for having me. It's just funny how we connected, but I am a born and raised Jersey girl. So, I fist pumped it my way through my years, and I went away for school. I was a Division I athlete. I played field hockey in college. I went away to Miami of Ohio, but ultimately, I knew I was coming home. So my family's here in New Jersey. I am married. I have two kids. I have Charlie, which brought us together because we his nickname is Chuck. We go by we say Chuck, and I have little Sienna too, Sienna Capri. And my background is in the private golf club industry. So I know that we'll dive into that, but I as far as my professional side of things, sales, marketing, but it's always been in the sports and golf industry. So that is where I am today.
I love it. And I do want to give a shout out to Miami of Ohio. I am in San Antonio, but I'm from Columbus, Ohio. And if you look in the background, you see I got Brutus Buckeye, and I got all the
you do
the signed autograph footballs and everything going on. So I can appreciate that. And I can also appreciate wanting to leave Ohio and go back somewhere nicer. So no animosity. I was born and raised there, but I got out, and I'm happy that I did. So
that's they're crushing it right now in basketball. They are crushing it.
Absolutely.
So good luck, Red Hawks.
There you go. And I'm any of the Ohio programs I love to death. So we're good. And I love playing golf too. This is going to be a lot of fun. So I play golf a couple times a week. On any good week, I do. Now, I'll give you a little backstory on this because I need some advice. I started playing golf. Now, I'll go back in time. This is probably 25 years or so ago, maybe even more than that, probably 30 years ago. I hate to date myself like this, but about 30 years ago, I got invited to be a sub in a golf league. And I was a young man at that point, and I was by far the youngest person in the golf league that I was being a sub for. And I had no ability. I had never really been good at golf. I don't know why I was even asked to be a sub, but I decided that day that I was going to retire from golf because I was being taunted by a elderly woman, and it was really kind of, it was grating on me a little bit. And I thought, well, I can't fight her because she's old and she might beat me. I don't want to lose a fight like that. So I decided not to. And I went back and said, okay, I am going to retire from this game completely. I'm humbled. You know, I'm more of I don't know what I am, but I'm not a golfer. So we fast forward about 20 some years and I get invited to play golf. Now, this is not just any regular golf outing. This is at the PGA course here in San Antonio. And I'm going to be playing with like national managers from major roofing manufacturers.
Amazing.
Well, it was amazing. I'll give it that. So I show up. I am absolutely horrible. I didn't even own golf clubs at this point. I rented clubs and I'm doing my thing and I'm absolutely embarrassing myself and playing horribly. And at the end of that day, I decided I want to learn how to play this game because this is now twice where I've been completely defeated, demoralized, 20 some years in between, but my experiences are both negative. So I'm going to learn how to play golf, right? And for the next 3 years, I have been practicing and playing and doing the best that I possibly can. And I am so much better than I was 3 years ago. I'm still not that good, but I have come to find the clubs make all the difference. So tell me a little bit about how you get into the golf club industry, because you're going to be the first that I interview in the golf club industry. And I'm actually incredibly interested in learning more.
Do you want to laugh? So I have worked in private clubs for 15 plus years. I mean, I'm on the business side now. I'm not like on property anymore. I've played a total of 9 holes.
Nice.
My whole career. I'm like, I'm here all day. Am I going to spend another 4 hours out there?
Right. Out there actually having fun.
I know. But I am determined. I am determined this spring that I'm going to get some lessons. Well, actually, I just found out that there's a simulator right up the road. So I might start there because we are under 2 feet of snow as of this morning. And I got to start somewhere. I got to get into it. And I'm an athlete. Like I'm a very competitive person. So I want to hold my own when I go out there.
Well, this is where it gets a little sketchy. Okay. And I'll tell you this, I'm the same way, but yes. I had to accept the fact that I'm not that talented when it comes to this specific thing. And the way that I did it was I started playing golf with people that are way better than me because I know that there's no possibility that I could ever beat them. And therefore I don't let that competitiveness get to me. But when I get out on a little roofing seminar where there's, a bunch of guys that are similar in skill, that's when it gets dangerous. And I will say this, my advice to anybody beginning, just play golf with people that are way better than you. And then your expectations will be low enough to where you actually enjoy it and you don't get mad. So,
and quite frankly, I think that goes for any sport. Like, do you ever just play, I don't know, a team and they were far worse and you like somehow play down to them? So I feel like it's better to play up, you may be humbled, but I think it's overall worth it. But, so yeah, I mean, when I graduated college, I was determined. I just wanted to start working. I was like, I want to make my own money. My parents are like, you just had 2 full-time jobs. You were an athlete for full-time and you were a full-time student, like take a break. And I said, no, like I want my own money. I want to do my own thing. And like, I'm just a very independent person. So I ended up, landing a front desk receptionist job at Trump National Colts Neck, which Trump had just taken over the property. It was Shadow Isle was the name of the course. And so I got to experience like the complete overhaul, Trump, stamp on everything, that whole process. And this is obviously far before any of his, current state.
Just a normal guy at that point, just a normal bazillionaire, right?
I know, right? Like he's terrible. Like his bank account is obviously for a reason. Like it's whatever. But no, it was cool. I mean, he's a tough guy, but he knows his stuff when it comes to that. I mean, it is what it is. But I was taking lunch orders. I was, answering the phone. I was just sitting there kind of like greeting members and that sort of thing. And the marketing director, her office was behind me, like closed door behind me. So she would often, ask me for some help. And then more and more, she started integrating me into her role, essentially. Like I was her right hand, and she put a lot of trust in me, and essentially my mentor. So kind of just fast forward a few years, in that time period, I did meet my husband, who is a prior golf course superintendent. He's also now on the business side. But so we're very, it's a crazy industry. But so she essentially just kind of gave me the confidence to take the leap for a new director position at another private club in New Jersey, and went for it, got it. I was there for 5 years, crushed it, selling memberships, marketing. And then from there, so I was down in South Jersey. I was commuting quite a bit, but then another awesome opportunity came up. The club is Montclair Golf Club here in New Jersey. It's 36-hole private facility up in North Jersey, and they had actually just purchased a second property about a couple miles down the road, and they needed someone to navigate the sale of memberships for both. So that came up, went for it, was accepted for that position. I was there for 3 years, and I also ran the golf outings there too. So it was a big job. It was fun. I mean, you meet a lot of people. You may have technically, when it's member owned, you have like 1,500 bosses, but you meet a lot of people from all walks of life. So really the reason that I left was started a family, and quite frankly, just the hours that it requires in order to be successful in that type of position were nights and weekends. So with a little one, it just wasn't something that I wanted to even try to tackle. Not to mention my husband had started traveling quite a bit. So it just wasn't conducive to our like family lifestyle. So I missed it though. So, I mean, obviously I love my kids. They're my limbs, but I miss working. I like working. So what I did was ultimately converted. I'm like, how can I get back in it without getting back like in a property setting? And I created an LLC, and I converted my skill set and my experience to remote services and started offering digital marketing and sales consultation for clubs around the nation. I worked for a software company that had a managed marketing service, so I had access to a ton of courses across the country. I mean, coast to coast, a lot of everything, private, semi-private, public, you name it. So I was able to learn, the different sectors of the business that way, and they all require something different, but still had some, my freelance, obviously one-off non-golf club clients, one of which is who I now work full-time with. They were my client independently for 3 years. The company is Bloom Golf Partners. We are an executive search firm that places people in golf and country clubs. So specializing in agronomy. So superintendents, director of agronomy, controllers, chefs, GMs. I mean, we do it all. So, and I handle his marketing. And so it's my way of being able to, stay connected with the same exact network and people, but in a team setting, but remotely. So the best of both worlds. And it's just been the best transition for me that I can kind of like touch on it all, which is really nice.
Yeah, I love that. And it's really cool that you were able to, step back, like say, and not stress yourself out and be able to actually focus on family, which I think is the most important aspect in life. And then, like everybody, it just drags you right back in. And I love that.
Sure
And
does.
before we get into modern times and the remote position that you've created and all the work that you're doing now, I have to ask, when you started and you're at the Trump property, you spoke, as though potentially you may have actually met the current president of the United States. I need to ask, because you're going to be the first person that I know. I did have somebody give me a story about Ted Cruz not that long ago, but Trump is a different level than Ted Cruz. I'm here in Texas, and this is the president. So tell me a little story about President Trump from maybe a personal experience that you had with him, or maybe the first time you met the guy, and just kind of, is he a normal guy, or is he just, is it all for show?
Honestly, so like you look at he's what you see is what you get. What you see is what you get. Okay, so there's two. I'll tell you about the first day that I met him, and then I'll tell you a second follow-up story. So as you know, my husband also worked for him for 10 years, left on his own terms, did not get fired, which is like a huge accomplishment. When working for him.
Firing people is one of his favorite things to do.
Yes, but he did leave on his own terms for an awesome opportunity. But so the first time that I experienced Mr. Trump in the flesh was I was at the front desk, and we obviously knew he was coming. He was in the Phantom. We knew he was coming up to the property, pulled in the front. So, I'm the first person that he sees. So I'm standing. Well, he comes in blazing, like guns a-blazing, screaming about the trees. He was a big tree guy. The trees, big tree guy. Guess he's screaming at.
I can only assume the first person he sees.
Not me.
Oh,
walking in with my now husband.
Nice.
He's ripping him to shreds about trees, like a new one or two, what's like, as he's walking through the front doors. And all I could do was like stand there like, geez, like, hi, Mr. Trump. And I just get the look from, and again, like, my husband's not like, well, he wasn't my husband at the time, obviously, but he's just looking at me like absolutely mortified. But like, you can't roll your eyes, because God forbid he sees you, you roll your eyes. But he made it. He made it through. And actually was asked to go and oversee the grounds ultimately of his like showcase property, Bedminster in northern New Jersey. So he was very as respected as you can be by Mr. Trump in his position. He very much was. Second story. So Mr. Trump called my husband personally on our wedding day to wish him, congratulations and good luck. They did get us a wedding gift. They did get us a wedding gift. It was like a Tiffany's bowl. I don't know, some like centerpiece bowl thing. It was not my style. It literally was like a gold. It looked like it came out of like a Trump shrine. Beautiful, obviously. And this is really bad. I probably shouldn't even have this recorded, but I tried to return it.
Nice. That is tremendous.
The woman at the Tiffany store, she talked me out of it. She goes, it may not be your style, but how many people can say that they, have a wedding gift from Donald Trump and Melania? So I held on to it. Fast forward 10 years, we're moving. I still held on to this damn thing. And it during the move dropped, shattered. Oh. Yeah. Inside of a bag. So I'm like, okay, well, it's all together. I had all these grand plans of like melting it down and maybe like creating something else. And then we went through a renovation and got thrown out. So now I have nothing to show for it. Nothing at all. So now it is truly just a story.
That's a hell of a story, though. I'm not going to lie. I love that. That is awesome. It is. And I respect the lady at the Tiffany that tried to talk you out of it, because at the end of the day, you could have also said, hey, how many people can say that they returned a gift from Donald Trump for their wedding gift? You're going to be one of a kind no matter what. And I love that. That is awesome. And I always like to get those kind of stories, because it's like, you know what? Yeah, that's a real guy that cared about the people that were working for him enough to know and call and say, hey, congratulations on your wedding. And that's pretty awesome. I love that. Thank you for sharing.
Absolutely.
So let's go a little bit, move into the future, into the current realm where we're at now. Like you said, you got the itch to get back in after getting out for a little bit, decided to start your own thing. And I love entrepreneurs. It's my favorite topic to discuss on Keepin It Rio. I know people that have started businesses of all types all over the world, but I don't know anybody that started one similar to what you have. So let's learn a little bit about this experience. You have the previous experience, obviously, from years of doing this and make the connections and the networking and all that. But I know this for a fact. I started a roofing company that was out of business, and I had never been to San Antonio a day in my life until I got here to resurrect it. So I understand what it's like to have to get yourself out into the marketplace and make yourself known. Tell me a little bit about the experience for you when you decide to go out and do your thing. And, who are the people that you start contacting? Who are the people that you reach out to? What are you telling them? And how does this initial venture, this initial foray, how does this go as we get started?
Yeah, I mean, just like anything else, it's a learning curve. Obviously, you kind of got to set the foundation, and quite frankly, you have to realistically set your expectations as well. But I will say the beauty of the golf industry is, gosh, I mean, even the guy I work with right now, I mean, obviously, again, an entrepreneur, started it in COVID, both of us really in 2020, but didn't really kind of come together until a few years later. But it's referral based. I mean, it really is like, I'm happy to say that I have not had to really do any like paid advertising, luckily. Granted, I am a one-man band, so even if I did, I wouldn't have been able to comfortably have the bandwidth to maybe take on more volume. So I was able to really kind of temper that by taking on certain started project based and then getting on retainer. And then, when I kind of outsource some things, and then there's other pieces of it too, from a digital marketing standpoint, that there's obviously the graphic design, offering paid services, website development. I mean, the list can go on. Through that, realizing what my strong suits are and like really, not trying to do it all myself, because one, it's inefficient. Two, it's just not going to be good. It's not going to, and that's my name at the end of the day. So recognizing what like your strong suits are, what you can support somebody else that's maybe freelancing, like here, have at it, and outsourcing things to stay on, like just learning all of those things, just to keep, a positive, obviously service, a service experience for your clients. But, I learned a lot about myself, my bandwidth. And again, at the same time, I have two little heathens at home that obviously, they come from a band, they contribute to the bandwidth, or lack thereof, I should say. That kind of navigating all of that it's a lot. I mean, you know it, you've you know what it takes. It's just just really learning what your strong suits are and capitalizing on those. And you don't have to offer it all. I think the short story is that you don't have to offer it all. You don't have to be the superstar of everything in a certain, realm. There's room at the table for everyone. So you don't have to be a hero or afraid to, outsource help in certain things. So that's been a big, learning piece that has honestly, from a quality of life, made a difference.
Absolutely. And this is amazing to me because there are so many parallels between what you're doing and what I'm doing. And it's the same, everything business related it all boils down to the same basic principles. And it's like, do what you're good at, Don't do what you're not good at. Don't waste your time. Find your ideal clients and basically hone in on them.
Yep.
And I love what you just said, because I have been a victim of trying to do everything and really getting to the point where I was so stressed out that I didn't want to do it anymore. And I love when I talk to new entrepreneurs who have started this journey that get into this and realize, okay, just because I have the ability doesn't mean that I should do everything. So tell me a little bit about this. When you start off, obviously, like you say, you kind of have to do a little bit of everything to get your foot in the door.
Yeah.
Now you get your foot in the door and you realize, now I'm doing everything. And I don't think I can keep myself in the door very long because I'm going to go crazy. What is that conversation like in your own mind with yourself when you say, okay, maybe I can't do everything to the highest level and I need to pare it down a bit? What was that like with you?
Yeah. Well, I don't keep a whole lot to myself just because I am very, I'm very outspoken. So I'm like, spit and fire. And I started to realize that, I mean, again, I'm a young mom. That's already like stressing you out, right? And you're trying to like contribute to the family, but like not lose your shit at the same time. And I started to realize I'm starting to resent what I wanted, what I ultimately love to do. And once I started recognizing that, I'm like, I got to make some changes here. I have to find, this isn't going to last very long. How embarrassing is that? Right. And, I'm like, I got to find some trusted people. I had to find some, and they don't even have to be directly affiliated to the golf industry. Like if you have a skill set that can apply, like you can learn the industry. That's the easy part. But just finding a strong, reliable kind of like list of help, that you can outsource to. And gosh, that makes such a difference. Such a difference. And I started saving a lot of time. I wasn't, working crazy evening hours. I just found my people that I could lean on. And then I was more comfortable bringing on new clients because then it's just copy paste, then you get a system, you start getting comfortable and rinse and repeat. Right. And while still being able to maintain a high level of customer service. Because at the end of the day, like especially in the private club industry, it's hospitality. I mean, it's customer service. So, and because it is such a tight such a close knit industry, you get one bad bad review, it spreads like wildfire, which I'm sure even in in probably any industry. I just know that I've seen it happen firsthand. So it's pressure, but you just can't do it all. You'll lose your shit and then it'll catch up to you eventually. But I just didn't want to start resenting what I was proud of. And I could see it creeping. It was creeping, but just got to wrangle it and don't be afraid to ask for help.
That's it. And I think that's the life lesson that we all need to learn. And episode 251 of Keepin It Rio has basically just solved life's greatest problem, which is don't try to do everything yourself, everybody, because we're all here. We can all work together as a team. So I love that. And I love that you were able to recognize it pretty early on and to say, okay, I'm not going to let this get to the point where I see it coming, because at that stage, everything in life sucks. You're mean to your family. You hate getting up in the morning. You hate your job. You hate everything that you do and everything that you see. And I've been there, so I know how that feels. And it's awesome when you recognize it beforehand and say, okay, no, we're not going to do that. So you recognize this. You've got a nice client base. Like you said, you started off kind of having to do a little bit of everything. We're able to kind of refine it down and say, okay, this is my strength. This is what I'm going to do. Tell me first off, what are those strengths? Let's say that I am a private golf club owner and you just called me and Chuck Acres, we're going to call this, and it's going to be like the greatest club in the state of Texas. And I need some help. So you're going to call me and I'm going to say, Meredith, how can you help me? What are your strengths as far as helping me to get this bad boy up and running? Because I want the PGA here in like 2 years.
Oh, that's a big one. No pressure.
Well, we got to dream big, right?
I know, you're right. You're absolutely right. So for me, from a bird's eye view, I take pride in the strategy, like the long-term strategy, big picture, and then kind of like working backwards from there. So finding your pain points in terms of like, are you looking to grow your membership? Do you want to keep it small and tight knit? Do you what is your ultimate goal, right? Because the strategy could be, member centric, or it could be food and beverage centric. So, social events and that sort of thing. So like I said, my big thing is the overall marketing strategy and where that applies within your operation. Cause again, it's so different for every club. But then from a more like tangible aspect, graphic design, which kind of filters into your social media. So like your whole social media plan, and obviously all of the content, images, and assets that go with that, as well as your website and your email marketing. So those funnels kind of go hand in hand. They have a little bit of a different approach for each, but and I dabble a little bit in advertising. Like, not many private clubs do that because of either they're non-for-profit or whatever their kind of limitations are. Many just don't do the paid advertising, but I can certainly do it. And if I have my plate full, I got my go-to people. I do have go-to people for website too. They're just like, I could do maintenance and all of that, but if you're starting from scratch, oh God, that's going to somebody else. I can't, because it's a very intricate thing, but I have people that can put a brand new gorgeous website up in like 2 hours and it's mint and gorgeous. And I'm like, do your thing.
I understood. I wish that my brain worked like that. I didn't know that my website wasn't active for a year. And then I found out one day and it was like, all you have to do is click this one little thing and it goes back on and everything's fine. It was off for an entire year. That's how oblivious I am to everything. So I definitely can appreciate it. Mm-hmm. And I know that there's a lot that goes into it. So I guess let me frame this question a little bit differently. And I love the perspective because this is stuff that I've never thought of in my entire life. Let's say that you and I are going to start our own golf course. And I'm putting you in charge of our course, and we want to have an elite club. We want people to really think, this is the spot. Chuck Acres is awesome, and we want to have our events and everything there. So what would your ideal vision be if you were to start your own private golf club, and how would we get this thing off the ground, and who would we cater to? And I guarantee you are not expecting these kind of questions when you logged on to this podcast a half an hour ago.
As an owner, it sounds selfish, but we can choose who we want. And we have to determine who we want to be at the club. So, all right. So it's obviously not going to be just a boys club.
Nope.
Right. Nope. Not going to be just the boys
Definitely
club.
Don't want that. That's no fun.
No. I was just at a conference and I met someone there in Texas. Actually, the club is in Texas. I'll message you the name of it, but it is an all gentlemen's club. And I'm like, gosh, I didn't even think that they still existed, but they do. Well, first and foremost, you have to determine what that is. And if you want super, super elite, you got to figure out what's the dues or the initiation fee going to be? Are we talking like $500,000 just to walk in the door? Probably.
I like that.
Probably minimum that just to walk in the door. That's one time. Bye. Thanks for playing. And then we're probably looking at I don't know. Like I said, it depends on how big the property is, what kind of conditions the golf course, that greenskeeper or that superintendent, he needs some coin. If they're all golfers, he's going to need some coin to maintain mint conditions. So, I mean, we got to pull in some big coin, but you don't want a big membership, traipsing all over the golf course. And people that don't know what they're doing.
It ruins it for everybody. Absolutely.
They're going to be tearing it up. So we want to keep it small, right? So I'd probably say, let's look for the high profile, immediate area people, couples, let's say families, whatever. But make a destination. Like, there should be amenities that people will want to travel to. So you're not just...
It's kind of like a JW Marriott type deal.
Yes, like you're not just relying on the direct area so that people...
stuff. I love it.
Exactly. So we have to make it like Oasis type of destination that basically they can find anything that they would want on a luxury high-end vacation at our club and pay top dollar for it. But invite only membership.
I like it. I think we've got a great idea. And I'm going to say this right now on Keeping It Rio episode 251. If I ever hit it that big to where I can afford to build a golf course, a private club, you are going to be the person that helps me do it. So
we're going to crush
keep me in the pipeline. Follow up with me every couple of years. One of these days, I've been doing roofing 28 years and I haven't made it yet, but I have a feeling it's right around the corner. So that's my next step, is to buy a huge golf course and only let rich people in and ignore the people that have looked down upon me over the years as a roofer, because now I'm a roofer that owns a golf course. And
you know who you're going to invite is that
probably going to invite President Trump too, since you know him personally.
You're going to invite that little old lady that was mean to you. Wasn't there like an old lady that was mean to you?
She's probably no longer with us. I think I outlasted her. I made it to the 12th round, and I don't think she did. She was pretty old, like 25 years ago. So I hope that she's alive and well and out there still hitting those drivers down the middle. I hope she's got a whole new generation of teenage boys that she can taunt, and maybe she can be the stories 20 years down the road for some other poor guy that was traumatized and had to give up golf. So there you go. We're not inviting her. She was a public course lady, and we don't have time for that at our place. So I love that. And this is so much fun. Let's talk a little bit about reality, the future. We just built our own golf course, and I think it's the best one in America for sure. Same. But let's say that you are working with some of your clients and you've put your team together now. You've put people in the right places to help with your weaknesses, which I love. I've done the same thing myself with my roofing company, and it's been amazing. So now it's time to start scaling up. It's time to start building something that you can leave behind, or something that you can, potentially sell down the road and retire at a very young age and travel the world with your kids. So what is the future looking like as far as the plans? Now that you're up and running, you've got a team, you've got some established clientele, you're making your mark in the world, and you're loving what you're doing with no resentment. So how long does this go? What's the future look like?
Well, you know what? It's funny. So the company that I work with, obviously full-time as well, they like own that side of the industry. And really, I would like to see my kind of contribution and legacy building more awareness. So maybe in like a higher agency level, like it maybe scales beyond just, like your tangible marketing, right? But moving toward the awareness of career pathways in sports for women, honestly. It's something that I'm super passionate about. So I want to just create those opportunities. And if I can't create them within my own, you know, direct ability or like employment offerings, opening up those doors, you know, for other women, because I feel like former athletes, that's like all they know, right? Like, I mean, I grew up in sports, and it's a extremely near and dear season of life. You know, I was very lucky to obviously play through college that paid for college, but it's like, okay, now what? You know, this is all I know for all of these years. That how can I stay attached to it in some way, shape, or form? I mean, obviously I didn't grow up playing golf, but it's still that like sport, it's atmosphere, it's that industry that I think I would like to be kind of known for, like opening up or widening the door for women to find leadership roles in the sports industry. Like, it is possible. And quite knowing that golf, it's a very, very male dominated industry. It really is possible. Like, it's very much possible. So just getting that out there. So for me, it's not even necessarily like making all the money. I mean, obviously that'd be fantastic, but I think the impact long-term for, you know, young women, young athletes, that the sky's the limit in really careers in sports. So I feel like that at the end of the day is something that I would like to be known to leave behind. So yeah, it's like a long-term passion project for me.
Heck yeah. And that is what everything successful starts off as and ends up being. It's like, I did it for the love. You'd be shocked. I love roofing to the point where, you know, I would just do it for free if they'd let me, but don't tell anybody I said that, because they will all let me do it for free. But it's so awesome. And I'm sitting here and I'm amazed by the parallels, because like you just said, you know, I'm in an industry that is also, you know, in air quotes, we'll say male dominated, although some of the most successful people in my industry are females, and sales, ownership, and all those roles. It's so awesome to see people that step out and you know, take that chance and put themselves out there for the love and to do the same thing for others. And that's exactly what you're doing. So I applaud you for that. I think that's the coolest thing. And that's why we do what we do, because we want to ultimately leave an impact and have people say, you know what, she was pretty cool. I like that. So I'm going to start winding down a little bit here, but I have a feeling this next one might be one of those questions where you're like, all right, Chuck, I already asked you what it was like meeting President Donald J. Trump. Obviously, he's a pretty cool guy. It was a human being type situation. Mm-hmm. I have gone to several golf clubs in my life. And one thing I do know, not everybody that shows up at these clubs are a fresh bed of roses or rainbows and sunshine type people. Man. And I know that some have egos and some believe that they're better than others. And I ask this question to every entrepreneur. I've already asked you your famous guy story, but there's always one. And it's like, okay, Meredith, tell me about the worst absolute human being that you have gotten the pleasure of meeting along the way. And you don't have to mention any names because they probably watch the podcast, I'm sure. So we can just call them anonymous John Doe or whatever. But tell me about the worst human being you've met in a private golf club. And that's saying a lot. There's some pretty bad ones. Not to be on the spot.
You caught me off guard with that one. Oh, man. I can't think of one off the top. I'm like trying to think, because gosh, there's so many people that you meet. Oh, boy.
That is a tough question.
You got me.
There you go. I love it. You've not had to deal with anybody that was so unbearable. I really
don't.
That's a great.
And I'm usually like front facing. I mean, and I must have just charmed my way. I mean, obviously.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. That's how I've gotten to this point in life too. I get it. You know, hey,
I mean, I'm just going to
talk
talk
about is my charm. So I can appreciate that. And the fact that you've had nobody, I've had a couple that I'd like to discuss, you know, sometimes in my podcast that I've met some unique homeowners along the way, people that live differently, but
yeah.
it's pretty cool. And what that tells me is you have earned the respect, because most of the time people don't respect you. And the only time I ever got thrown out of a roofing client's house, it was a dude that lived on a private golf course. And the cool part about it was I ended up getting back in the house. I ended up doing his roof. And after I did his roof, there was another problem. And he told me, you will never do another roof in this neighborhood because you don't know who I am. And Meredith, you know what I did? I went right next door. I knocked on his neighbor's house and I ended up doing his neighbor's roof. And then on top of all of that, about 4 years later, I lived on the same street as him.
Get out.
The guy who was too good for me, my lowly little roofer self, lived on the same street in the same neighborhood. And there you go.
He's just a suck sandwich, man.
Yep.
Good.
And it was fun,
Good
though. I've always gotten to enjoy my career, and I love when people do that.
Good.
This guy literally, within 13 seconds, his words were, it rhymed with Chuck, get the blank out of my house. And to come back from that and make all that stuff happen and then ultimately end up being the guy's neighbor, it was pretty darn cool. So
that's crazy.
That's the story of my life. It's crazy. So let's wind it down a little bit here, my friend. I have enjoyed our conversation tremendously. I didn't know if we'd have anything in common, and it come to find out we run complete parallels. Everything we have is in common, and that's business for you. You treat people right, you do the right thing, and you try your best to be the best you can, and ultimately it works out for most of us. So let's say that someone's been watching this show and they either just say, hey, you know what? I like her. She's got positive energy. She's got great vibes. Or somebody is a multi-bazillionaire, and I have a lot of these friends that are super wealthy. Maybe one of them's thinking that they're going to open a country club, and they need someone to advise them along the way. What are the best ways that people can either follow or get in contact with you to, start that process, or just kind of follow along with your journey and cheer from the background?
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, I'm most active on LinkedIn. So the best way is probably LinkedIn. And that's under my company technically, but MET Marketing LLC. And I'm sure it'll probably be in the show notes too. But otherwise, if you want more personality, you are more than welcome to follow me on Instagram, which is Otero927. And we've been super active this winter season with conferences and trade shows. We were just at the Genesis Invitational in Palisades, Pacific Palisades, just this past weekend, Tigers event. So that was super fun. And just posting our golf adventures and happenings and all of that stuff. So that is mainly active on my Instagram. And of course we can DM and take it from there. But I'd say LinkedIn or Instagram is the best way to get me.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. I love it. This has been so much fun. And before we bid adieu to the audience, there's one final piece of business I need to tend to. Okay. And I love this because you probably don't know anything about what I'm getting ready to speak on, and that is my sponsor. My sponsor, Meredith, is an amazing company called Roofr.com, ROOFR. And what Roofr is your all-in-one platform for roofing professionals that takes you from your first contact with the homeowner all the way through the final bill, the payment, and follow-ups for years to come. Everything inclusive in the Roofr CRM. And last week on episode 250, I actually had Richie Nelson, the CEO of my sponsor, and Roofr's been my sponsor for 4 years. I love everything that they provide. So thank you to Roofr. Thank you to everybody that watches Keepin It Rio. It's 251 episodes deep. And I always joke and say, even if nobody watches, I could still do it. But I appreciate every single person that does watch. All the guests along the way have been amazing. And today has been so much fun for me. So thank you for that. If you would stick around for just a second after I cut this off, we will conclude our conversation. But ladies and gentlemen, I end it with the cheesiest tagline in the history of podcasts every single week. And y'all know, keep on keeping it Rio. I will see you guys next Thursday. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're Roofer. We know that managing a roofing business can be chaotic, so we created a single platform with all the tools you need to easily run your roofing business. Stop switching between multiple different softwares and experience streamlined operations from lead to payments in hours instead of days. Visit roofr.com to get started for free.